His name is Cesar Goodson. And many people thought, listen, surely he's going to be held responsible because he was driving the van. He's driving a van. They call it a rough ride. And most American citizens don't give a damn about rough rides because they never had one before. And maybe you feel like a rough ride is an essential part of what the police do. As I understand it, a rough ride is basically where on your way to the police containment lockup facility, let's just say that you might get roughed up on the way in the van. Now, whether you're physically roughed up by other officers in the van using their fists, hitting you with nightsticks or some other object, or they cuff you to the back, and then the officer just drives very, very wildly. So you jostle and bang around, right, like a pinball, right, inside of a van. A rough ride. Goodson faced the most serious charges of the 6 Baltimore officers charged in the arrest and death of Freddie Gray. He was found not guilty of second-degree depraved heart murder and also acquitted of 3 counts of manslaughter, second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, and misconduct in office. Prosecutors had argued that Goodson had multiple chances to try to help Freddie Gray after his neck was broken in the back of the van, and he never did. They also said that Goodson directly caused the injuries because he was driving the van in a reckless manner that threw the shackled black man around in the back of the van's steel cage. Could you see officers doing something like that? You damn skippy, I can see it. You're damn skippy. And maybe this kind of thing happens a lot. But this particular officer basically is walking away. As I understand it, by my count, this is the 3rd individual who was tried in the death of Freddie Gray. And this is the 3rd individual who has been acquitted, basically. There are 4 other officers who still face charges in their roles in Freddie Gray's arrest and death. Matter of fact, the next trial of Lieutenant Brian Rice, he's charged with manslaughter and is scheduled to begin on July 7th. So let me circle back around. At the end of the day, is all of this going to be laid at the feet of Marilyn Mosby? You know, at some point, she was hailed as, and revered as damn near a hero. She was the face of I'm sick and damn tired of police misconduct, okay? She was applauded. She was awarded. She was recognized. And now all of the officers that she tried to this point have been acquitted. So you know what the good folks over at Fox News and other places are going to say, right? They're going to say this is an example of overreach. That because of her skin color, because of her associations with her husband, who's a city council member back when Baltimore went up in flames, okay, after the death of Freddie Gray, this man was leading the charge. He was in the streets. I remember seeing it. And they're going to say that they got caught up with the anti-police sentiment, that this is an example of what police officers have to deal with. But again, one by one, and this guy was driving the car. So how can they find anyone else responsible when the person who was charged and deemed to be the most responsible basically is walking away? Is Baltimore going to go back up in flames if none of the officers are charged and convicted? Are the people of Baltimore going to just deal with it? Ever since the riot, you know, they got all kind of stopgaps in the community, like community leaders, I'm sure extra law enforcement presence. You got all this talk about how you don't want to tear up things, you don't want to go out and start this kind of social unrest. But it's not until social unrest happens in many cases that there's really any attention brought to those issues. You had at least one of the so-called leaders, I believe this man had a connection with Black Lives Matter. He tried to run for mayor in Baltimore, couldn't get elected. So at the end of the day, if there's not a political revolution in terms of the leaders of this people's movement, this social movement, this political movement, right, this movement to say enough is enough, if those individuals can't be elevated to and then integrated into the political system, and their ideas and the people they represent can be reflected in the policies in Baltimore, and if none of the police officers who've been charged, including Mr. Goodson, this guy was the driver. If you believe that Freddie Gray was the victim of a rough ride, then the driver should be held responsible. He just walked away, ladies and gentlemen. He just walked away. So if none of the officers are going to be found responsible, where does that leave the people to go? Where does that leave the people? More well-wishers for little Buddha. Thank you very much. I will refer this to her, let her know. Edward writes, what was the impact of that Gilligan-ish sit-in? Shaking my head. Well, the impact was that cable news had something to report 2 nights ago. For people who pay attention to these kind of things, they saw the Democrats in action on an issue, trying to fight for an issue, trying to champion an issue I think a lot of people believe in. I think all reasonable people understand that if you're on the no-fly list, that you should be on the no-buy a legal gun list. If you can't legally be trusted to purchase a plane ticket, then why should you be legally trusted to purchase a weapon in the United States? Makes perfect sense. I think the Democrats thought they had a slam dunk. Somebody said, you know what, we got one here. We got one. Let's get out there. Okay, we're going to show it the Republicans. And the Republicans do what the Republicans do, man. They do what Republicans do. Crystal writes, a jailbroke Fire Stick has new movies as soon as they come out. TV shows, movies, music, sports, boxing matches, the whole nine. You can find someone selling them for $60 to $100. Huh. Good to know. Rashida writes, good morning. Calvin writes, they won't let Trump impact the marketplace. He will surround himself with serious economists. He may. Good morning, Wendy. Good to see you. Kiki writes, I believe a lot of these companies are sneaking in extra dollars by so-called taxes and other fees that are unnecessary. Yeah. Yeah, the head of the company goes to the board of directors, the trustees, or shareholders. And if you're a shareholder, then year to year, what you want is profit. You want more money than you got the year before. You definitely don't want less. And if you get the same, you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm not profiting. I want to profit year to year, okay? So what they do is they go back and come up with these different ways to try to squeeze money out of the consumers. And sometimes I believe they do it surreptitiously. They do it on the low. If you're just joining us, Rob Portman is trying to be everybody's friend because he wants you to vote for him in November. Now, I wouldn't vote for Rob Portman to clean the mosquitoes off of my windshield when I get back from my trip in Cleveland. Okay? But some of you folks voted for him to be the senator of the state of Ohio, and it is what it is. Everybody has different is levels to this. Everybody has different standards. My standard's different. But now he has revealed that Time Warner Cable, and oh, by the way, you might have noticed that now they're going to be called Spectrum. Spectrum. Okay? Spectrum. Because they're giving you the full spectrum of your digital services. I get it. I understand it. Why would you want to corner the market when you can corner the spectrum? But anyway, what he found out in an investigation, I guess he's working now, Rob Portman, Ohio senator, is that Time Warner Cable basically have been overcharging people, and then they're not refunding the overcharge, and they know about it. Now, from what I read, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you count that up. Over 10 years, you're talking about $4 million. If you can bilk $400,000 from your Ohio customers, because that's what the report is being reported as saying, that 40,000 Ohio customers of Time Warner Cable, they've been stealing money from you. Maybe 15 cents at a time. Maybe $15 at a time. Check your bill, folks. Check your bill. But back to Marilyn Mosby. This is going to make her look bad, just say the least. The Republicans, the friends of law enforcement, no matter what they do, because keep in mind, there's an element of the population that no matter what law enforcement does to you, they are going to support them. Law enforcement can plant evidence on you. They can shoot you in the back while you're running away and plant evidence on you. And there will be people, it can be all caught on video. And there will be people in this country who will say, after viewing said hypothetical vehicle, that a video, that somehow, well, we don't know what happened before the video was rolling. He must have deserved it. There's people out there like that. And those people are very dangerous. I'm talking about the kind of people that, I don't know, send police officers money for their legal defense, okay? I'm talking about the people that honestly thought about sending money to George Zimmerman for his legal defense, or maybe you put a bid on that damn blood gun, the weapon he used to murder Trayvon Martin. Those kind of people, they're out there. Kelly writes, good morning, Nathan. I made it to the chop shop. Thank you. Glad to have you. Kiki writes, right there. She's talking about Damien. Monique writes, exactly, Nathan. Exactly, Nathan. I remember at one point, Time Warner Cable was charging $4.99 for wireless after they started including it in some packages. So essentially, they were being double charged. They need to pay folks back. Hey, right is right. I'm with you. Brent writes, every last one of those cops are going to walk in this case. Marilyn Mosby will suffer an embarrassing loss that may lead to her resignation and be a stain on her career. I hope not, but it certainly looks that way. It does. It certainly looks that way. Why is it so difficult to convict police officers? And is that healthy for our communities? Is it healthy for our country that it's so difficult to convict police officers? But again, here's the other part about that. Here's the other part. We got to be honest. I didn't really get a chance to see a lot of video of what happened to Mr. Freddie Gray. Like, it's a little bit of a mystery. We saw him be hoisted up by several officers, and then he's put into the back of the van. We don't know what really happened between then and when he ends up dead, or he ends up in the hospital. We don't know. We really don't know. And so there's gray area there. And what I've noticed is that when it comes to officers and allegations of wrongdoing, if there's any gray area, like any gray area whatsoever, then there's enough room for them to wiggle their way out. Ms. D writes, the overcharging is just beginning for Time Warner Cable at Spectrum. Shaking my head. I hope not. Brent writes, I got more info on the MSD saga yesterday, and y'all ain't going to like it because you can expect an annual increase in your water bills of 5.5%. Come on. Oh, come on, Brent. You got to tell us more, man. Where did you find this information? Is there a link? Tell us everything, man. 5.5% for what? For what? And I can see, it's just amazing to me that none of these officers are going to be held responsible. Now, does that mean that Marilyn Mosby overreached? You know, she tried to get these guys and there was really nothing there. What does that mean exactly? For the fellas, let me switch gears here just a second, fellas. I want to draw your attention to something, okay? I want to draw your attention to something very, 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 very important. And this has everything to do potentially with your fantasy file. Just a sidebar here. Did anybody see that viral video of the woman that used to be married to R. Kelly? Her name is Drea Kelly. She was actually a cast member on a short-lived reality show. I thought it was a good show. Okay, it has some yumminess on there for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. And it was called, what was it? Real Hollywood, Real Ex-Wives of Hollywood, or something like that. I mean, they all admitted they were ex-wives. And all of the cast members were ex-wives of famous people. So you had the